Hello, hello.
Hello, I think that's Noah.
I'm trying not
I
to
cannot see you currently.
not to be a complete. Ah, there we go. Haha. Is that doing it? Oh, trying to get my face to your face.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind that I might just be constantly bouncing throughout this entire
Oh,
conversation
I'm bouncing as
because
well. Don't worry. Is that?
she. What? Yes, you're
Yeah, there we
working.
go.
Hey,
Haha.
look at that. Look at that. All right. This is, like I said, this is Noah Medlock, author of A Botanical Daughter, which I have right here. Noah, would you like to
Oh,
introduce your book?
oh yes. Botanical Daughter. It's Frankenstein, but gay and with plants. It's a gothic horror set in an exquisite greenhouse. It's kind of about the hubris of man, I suppose. It's a found family story, but it goes horribly wrong.
As all the best stories do. I just want to say that I was a huge fan of the book.
Thank
Um,
you.
from the get-go, you have such a lovely way with language, and I love any sort of quirky horror story. So it was squarely within my wheelhouse. Um, I will say that at like maybe the two-thirds mark, I had this crazy idea where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to write a musical to this," and I just had this day and a half where I was like, "Oh my God, this goes here and this goes here." Anyway, but in the end, I was like, you know what? One, Noah might not want me to write a musical. Two, who do I think I am that I'm going to write a musical to this, and what is going to happen to this musical? Anyway, I think just that's how sparked I was by the book. So thank you
Good,
very
good,
much
good.
for writing it and putting it out in the world. Um,
That has been quite a thrilling kind of response. Like people who respond creatively to what I'm putting down. That's been really rewarding.
Yeah, it
Um,
seems like there's a lot of you have a lot of artists in your fan base. I've seen so many like character arts that are really cool to see, and different people's different interpretations of what the characters look like and everything.
yeah,
Um,
there's been some really interesting takes. Obviously, the character Chloe can go in a few different directions.
yes,
Some more monstrous and some more girl-like is interesting. But also just how people have envisaged Simon and Gregor. Yeah, loads of different takes. It's been amazing to see. And just all
yeah.
pictures of plants is just nice to look at, anyways.
Who doesn't love plants and spore? Um, did you ever think that you were going to get that kind of reaction from people?
It's not something that had crossed my mind. You go into it thinking you're going to get like reviews, professional reviews, and like public reviews. Um, but yeah, I wasn't expecting that response. Yeah, that was more than I could have hoped for.
Yeah. I'll ask. I won't ask you on here whether you have a favorite, but if you have a favorite, you can share. Oh no,
Oh,
we're
baby.
okay. We're okay. She's being very a little bit fussy today. Am I not paying enough attention to you? I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to read it to her because she was born after I read it. But one day maybe. And
I heard about a knitting circle that takes place in a library. Oh, I forget the New England state it's in, but they would go to the library and knit, and the librarian would read Botanical Daughter to them.
that's fantastic.
I hope the librarian read ahead, given what happens towards the end. Whether that was for public knitting consumption, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that is a funny image of just, old grannies sitting around and some of the stuff that goes down. But you know what? I won't judge them. Maybe some old grannies are really into some blood and stuff. I'm sure I'm sure I will be when I'm old. I won't be a granny, unfortunately, but I will also still be into horror. Um, because who doesn't love horror? Um, so did you have your rehearsal today? Was that for the Miyazaki?
It was not. I would have much
No.
preferred it to be for the
Oh,
Miyazaki concert. That one is a bit mercenary. We're just going to turn up on the day, rehearse, and then two shows in the evening. No, this was for School of Rock,
oh,
which we're doing in York in September. it is like 3 weeks away, and it's a bit last minute. We are on the edge, and so
Yeah.
you can imagine how many kids there are in School of Rock, and there's two
Yeah.
casts, and then all the
Wow.
instruments. So it's a big sensory nightmare.
I can only imagine. Um, does that happen a lot where it's last minute?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's two ways of doing it, right? You can either like plan and spend all year working on your show and put it on by the time you're sick of it. Do you know what I mean? Or you can keep it on its toes, and it all kind of comes together just at the right moment in the week of the performance.
Yeah.
That if you can pull that off, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of stress in the meantime.
Yeah. How do you, forgive me if this is an ignorant question, how do you like find these like plays that you work at? Are they all at the same one, at the same place, or do you kind of have to send out yourself or your resume?
And so most of what I do is someone's recommended me.
Okay.
So it becomes a kind of self-generating thing. The more work you do, the more work you're asked to do. With the being part of this show, I'm doing this for fun rather than for my job. But for this group, I do work for them as a professional musician. But doing the like being in the show, I'm just doing that for fun.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. I'd love to, like, if I was closer, I'd love to go see the Miyazaki thing. It's Joe Hisaishi. I don't know if I pronounce
Yeah.
his last name very well. It's like such a good composer. Um, do you have like a favorite of his score? Like, is it, I'm guessing it's just a mishmash of different numbers from different movies.
Yeah. Just kind of best bits and stuff that's quite apt for our instrumentation. So if you don't know, I'm doing a concert on Saturday of songs from or music from Studio Ghibli films. Miyazaki. It's composed by Joe Hisaishi. That I think my favorite one is probably I think it's Sheeta's Decision from Laputa. It's really resonant, very kind of simple, but in a way that's really hard to write simple. Do you know what I mean? It just the melodies are so lush, the harmonies, and yeah, once we've got a 5-piece string orchestra with it as well, it's going to be amazing.
That's actually one that I don't know. So I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah, check that one out.
You said Lupita?
Laputa,
Laputa.
Laputa. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's good too.
Oh, from Castle in the Sky?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen that one. I will
I
have
think that's up there. One of my favorites, I think.
Yeah. I love them. I love the music for and it's not at all related except for the fact that it's from anime. But I also love the music from Your Name. And I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but
Your Name. I don't
that
know.
and Spirited Away, those two soundtracks are like what I listen to like on repeat when I'm writing.
Yes. We're doing Station. Is it Station 7? From Spirited Away. Really evocative. Well, while she's on the train.
That is my favorite piece from Joe Hisaishi work. There's like a 10-hour loop of it on YouTube that I often have on. It's a little bit, monotonous because I think it's a 3-minute piece, but
Oh yeah.
it's a good vibe. I'm guessing you're piano, correct? You're playing the piano in this?
Yeah, I'll be on piano.
So that would be very much focused on you then? Like that?
Yeah, those spread chords. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I kind of alluded to, do you write with music or do you just, because you have such strong ties to both music and writing, I feel like they very much mesh together for some people and some people they're like, absolutely not. If I'm writing, I can't have any other sound.
Yeah, it's tough. It has to be exactly the right kind of music. So I've got some scrupulously organized playlists on Spotify. For Botanical Daughter, there was a lot of piano music because I like piano music, and I wanted it to not be very distracting. I can't have any singing, for example, no singing at all. Otherwise, I'll just listen to the voice. So yeah, the Botanical Daughter one, which you can find. I've made that's public now on Spotify. It's got like Debussy and Ravel.
Oh,
Yeah, that kind of rich end
yeah.
of the 1800s, early 1900s kind of sound. Yeah.
That was
But then I've also got some different ones for different projects because you need to put yourself in the right headspace.
yeah.
So yeah, I've got some medievally stuff, some chant.
Some Gregorian chanting.
Gregorian chant because I can't hear what they're saying, so I can tune that out.
Ooh, I found. Well, no, I think I found the audiobook. Never mind. Playlist. Someone has
Oh yes, by
created.
the way, you can also get the audiobook on on Spotify.
That was our subtle little plug there. You can also get the audiobook on
You can indeed.
Spotify.
I think you have to pay extra.
Okay. I've never listened to a book on Spotify. Just that for some reason seems wrong to me, but I guess
Yeah, it does feel weird.
yeah, because it seems like such a music thing. But I guess podcasts are basically freeform books. I don't know.
Yeah. Talking.
Yeah, I agree with you completely about like the music fits what you're writing because I think I wrote two books back to back. One was a very sad meditation on grief that had a lot of like music, like you're saying, had the same Reverie by Debussy. And then I went straight from that into like a mystery heist that was all just like Bourne series music. So just completely, yeah, whiplash there from one to the other. Oh, Trip is here. Hi, Trip. Um, but yeah, definitely crazy. You have
Writing,
go
in
ahead.
fantasy. I was wondering, with your writing in fantasy, do you curate your listening? Because I imagine the cultures that you're creating, like semi-inspired by real cultures, but also their own thing. How do you find music that evokes your world?
Um, I do lean heavily on the cultures that they're inspired from. I've written like three of the four books in the series. And for the most recent book, I was listening to a lot of the Shogun soundtrack that I don't know
Oh
if you've seen.
yeah.
Yeah, that show for the East Asian inspired settings for any of the stories that were going on in that. The settings that's like the Iberian Peninsula ends up being a lot of I don't know his name, Bear McCreary, I think. I think he did the Rings of Power soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of that. And then like the islands ends up being more like drumming, I'd say, less like instrumentation. But again, that also changes on the scene too, because some scenes very action paced. I want them to be
That's
higher.
it, right? I found myself making all these playlists, and then I
Yeah.
actually want to listen to one particular song when I'm writing a particular
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, very much. Or just I end up using YouTube and just looping something endlessly, which I'm surprised hasn't driven my husband crazy. But then again, maybe he just completely is drowning me out,
Yes.
which can be good for a partnership. So I've seen that you are working on a historical horror. Is that correct?
Yeah. So speaking of music, this one is more is taking that music and writing thing to its logical extreme. I'm writing a historical horror about a particular piece of music, a particular ballet,
Ooh,
and
I
so
like that.
in some ways I listen to that music to write what I'm about to try and write because I've had this idea, right? Maybe it's obvious, but it's the story of writing and rehearsing and performing the ballet, but it's also the story within the ballet, kind of overlaid. So we're moving through this piece of music, and so the music is affecting the mood, um, which is really cool, great idea, but very frustrating to write, very complicated and but then similar to what you're saying is that I've got like a 2 or 3 minute movement to listen to inspire maybe 5 or 6 chapters. Like
Right.
sitting there for a week listening to the same 2 minute bit of music.
Going slightly mad, but madness maybe is helping the story.
I think that's my brand, to be honest,
Yeah.
at this point. Slightly unhinged, which is how you have to get in order to write slightly
Yeah.
unhinged.
I am super into that idea already, and I need the book now. And I feel
Yeah.
like the first one, was A Botanical Daughter, was you made me want to write a musical, and I feel like the next one I'm just gonna have to try and write a ballet.
Well, yeah, yeah. Or we'll get you some point shoes, and you have to take some classes.
Yeah. I feel like that one is gonna be a harder
You'd rather write
transition.
one.
Yeah. But, maybe. We'll see. Who knows where it'll take us. So that'll be ready in like a month, right?
I don't know. You've written a few books now, haven't you? This will be my second, right? Botanical Daughter was my first finished project. So I feel like my learning curve is still super steep,
Yeah.
and I'm finding it emotionally quite difficult to write the second, in the dust that's being kicked up by the first,
Yeah.
like positive and negative emotions to do with the release of the first. It's just so so overwhelming. I have found it hard to sit down, but
Yeah.
it is on track. I'm writing about 1,000 words a day, which will
That's
hopefully
great.
get us like a draft by
Yeah.
the end of the year.
And I also feel like I don't know if you feel this way, maybe not, but I feel like there's a certain excitement to like your first project has done so well, and that was your first finished project, and now that can maybe inspire you to feel good about what you're doing for the second one,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. I'm really consciously trying to sew that back into like self-worth. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's not default with me. That is like
Yeah.
I acknowledge that it's been like way more successful than I could have anticipated, and I'm so grateful, all that kind of stuff. But I'm still feel like a fraud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Weird.
that will never completely go away, but maybe
No.
once in a while you can just go look at some five-star reviews and boost your morale, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been capturing the right kinds of feedback and putting it into a document.
Yeah, that's good. Like a pick-me-up document.
Yeah.
I feel like some people just completely avoid their reviews, but do you like glance every now and then, or?
So earlier on in the process, I was guilty of dipping into the reviews because they were so nourishing and so positive. And then once it went out to the general public, the reviews become much more varied.
Yeah,
And so then it becomes really hard to even search out the positive because there's a very high chance you'll accidentally come across something negative. And it's fine for people to have that opinion, of course.
yeah,
I think particularly this book is quite polarizing because it's got that extreme flowery language, right? It's got this weird crunchy horror that isn't like a slasher, but it is scary. So people find it not scary enough or too scary. Like there's lots of things that can go wrong if
yeah,
it's with the wrong reader. So I absolutely understand that people will have negative reactions to it. That's fine. But yeah, trying to even slightly check, you'll you'll get
yeah,
kind of blasted with it.
yeah. Just get mired in the fog of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know how people could have a negative review. Like page 24. This is like I know I like messaged you about this, but the quote, grief can be a kind of exhaustion after all. Like when I read that, I think I just like set the book down. I was lying in bed and I was just like, what the fuck? I don't know if I can say that out loud, but like that's such a and the book is filled with little lines like that. Do those come to you in the moment, or do you have like a list of those where you just like, all right, this one goes here, save that one for this scene, like I don't know.
No, those are spontaneous. I think I don't feel like I can take responsibility for them. They they're not something that I tried to achieve. It was quite spontaneous. Part of it was that I was consciously channeling Oscar Wilde,
Okay.
and he has these little turns of phrases, right? Sometimes like paradoxes that lead you to a bigger truth, and that is, I think, that's where that tone came, and then I just have to insert something meaningful.
You just, first draft is insert something meaningful here.
I have been guilty of that. The problem with writing that down is then you can never actually think of something.
Yeah.
So no, this is one reason why I enjoy writing whilst moving and walking and stretching and sitting stupidly or being outside, because that flowing happens much more, that improvisatory quality, which again we can tie in with music, right? I'm a player who can play the dots, but I also quite like improvising and kind of expanding. So it's that expansive sense will result in those little flourishes, like a jazz person. Like, how did you come up with all of those notes? Is that, well, no, I didn't sit and think about it. It just came.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is why it probably hits so hard. It just feels like this logically belongs here, even if it's just like this profound statement out of nowhere.
And I think particularly with grief, it's such a universal experience. I think, I think that line did actually come from having recently lost my grandfather while I was writing it. I have a very vivid memory. A lot of the book was written in a park near where I lived in London, where the Crystal Palace ended up, which is this great greenhouse, basically. And I'd got the call while I was writing, and I was underneath a tree, like thinking about Granted and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it was just really, really present for me. So then thinking again about this improvisatory quality, if you're letting that flow, these experiences resonate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather.
Oh, I mean, because of how publishing works, that was now many years ago.
Yeah. It feels fresh. We're not reading it, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that fueled a lot of Jennifer and Mr. Finch. Yeah, the mood that they had.
Yeah. It's always such a interesting conundrum, I feel, with art. It's like so much good art is like pain. Like, I don't want you to suffer as the artist, but it does produce really good stuff, and it's helpful to people who are also in pain. So I don't know. What I'm saying is I don't like happy art. So
yes, it can be hard to find tension, isn't it? Like narrative tension, if everyone's just fine.
Yeah.
Even a cozy story, right? People do describe Botanical Daughter as cozy. It's certainly domestic in its stakes.
Yeah.
It's as important that the dinner party is ruined as it is that there's a monster on the loose. Do you know what I mean? But even in that dinner party, that the stakes for each character come from their little twisted bits of pain, don't they? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to our stream, guys.
Yeah. That is a good point that some people call it cozy, and I don't know. That's such an interesting, like, yeah, I guess it is cozy, but it's also, there are some pretty morbid death scenes, and yeah, I don't know. Can you be both cozy and morbid? I guess so. Or grotesque. It's your brand of horror.
Yeah. Cozy and grotesque. I love how people use grotesque as a compliment. Like, I often get rave reviews that describe it as grotesque. It's like, oh, thank you, my book is grotesque.
Yeah. All the best things. Would you care to play a game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a game? I'm a bit more prepared than I was on the last live stream I did, where I tried to handwrite all of this out. But I did figure out that I don't actually own a clipboard, so this is just on package for paper. But we are going to play a collaborative botanical musical. I don't know if you can actually read this, so I need to work on my sizing skills. But I made.
Is it the same as what? I think I've got a version here.
Okay, that's good.
If it's the same one.
Glad you're prepared. Well, for those who do not have the chart, I don't really know how to do this. To figure out a way to like share my screen or something next time. But I've made a chart with 7 characters from A Botanical Garden, we're going to create a musical together using them. In the center column, we have composer lyricist pairs, or if the composer was also a lyricist, there's just one name. And then in the third column, we have a bunch of standard musical numbers for a musical, such as the I Want, which is generally a main character kind of pontificating about what their desires in the musical. We have the 11 o'clock, which is usually the big showstopper near the end of the show. Think No Good Deed Goes Unpunished from Wicked, I think. Yeah, that's an 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or Rose's Turn from Gypsy is the one I always use.
Okay, yeah. We have the Toe Tapper, self-explanatory. The Exposition, which is usually everyone's least favorite song. The Villain Number, and the Reprise. So if you would like to start us off, Noah, we're going to match these up.
Okay, so I don't know how much you know, but that my MA was in writing musical theatre.
Oh, well, this keeps happening because I had a conversation with Trip on Sunday and I had him play with fantasy tropes and he was like, do you know my doctorate is on fantasy tropes and now I'm making a musical with you. And so, this luck is going to run out eventually, but I'm glad it's happening.
So I did have these planned, but I don't know whether I have used the right number of ones in different places.
You probably know better than I, so whatever you feel like is correct is probably correct.
So if we're starting with I Want.
Okay. So I'm going to make the I Want pink.
So we're starting with I Want. Okay, so this, like the quintessential I Want song is Part of Your World from A Little Mermaid.
Yes.
Or Somewhere That's Green, which, by the way, is also almost exactly the same song. And so I would be remiss not to put Alan Menken and Howard Ashman on that one.
Is it Ashman? Did I put the wrong last name?
I think it's Ashman, yes.
Oh, wow. Well, that shows how much I know.
So I might give that to Jennifer.
Okay.
Because she's the one that wants the most at the beginning. Gregor and Simon are kind of just like...
I hope they actually do that in the musical too.
In the Muppets, the two old men.
Yeah.
They're just kind of there. Like,
I like it.
Whereas Jennifer's got a bit more like drive, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give her the I Want number, written by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman.
Sounds good. What do you think this number should be called? Or if you don't want to think of a name, you don't have to.
How about something to do with the meadows, isn't it? It's something to do with wanting to go and fly like a bird. Although that makes me think of Stephen Schwartz, because he always writes about fucking birds.
Oh, man. Where do you go now? Where do you go now?
I'm
ruining all your plans by asking this question.
Well, no. Let's go with that. Let's go with Menken, shall we? So yeah, it would be something to do with like flying out in the meadows. Do you know Meadowlark? The song Meadowlark. That's a Stephen Schwartz, I think. That's a banger.
All right, I'm making a list now. I need to add this one to the list. Hold on. Please pause, everyone. Okay. Meadowlark. Okay. That sounds. Also, can I just say when I asked you earlier what your favorite musicals were, and you listed The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Taste. Oh my God, Hellfire is probably my favorite Disney song, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I taught a singing lesson last week, and the space that we'd booked was free afterwards, and so I just spent literally 2.5 hours belting like baritone numbers. Of course, Hellfire was one of them.
You know what I'm going to have to ask now? I'm going to want a Noah Medlock cover of Hellfire.
Oh. And I probably need a few more like decades in me, but to play Frollo, I think I could knock that one out of the park because he believes it. He really believes it, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. I want that. I want it now. That's my I Want.
That's your
I'm casting myself as the singer of the I Want, and it's Noah Sing Hellfire is the name of my song. Um,
So we've got an I want number. What's next? What's next?
the you can skip wherever you want. You don't have to go in order if you do not wish.
Let's go to exposition then.
All right.
Are we thinking exposition in the same style of like the opening of Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, that's what I kind of had in mind. I didn't really know what some of these were called. I just kind of made up names. So now I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
even
There's
more
always-
ashamed of the fact that I made up names since this is what you got your degree in.
Well,
But
it's the opening number, isn't it? It's
yeah,
just
there
I
you
know
go.
what you
See,
mean by it.
that's actually what it's called.
So I might go off piste here and give that to the groundskeepers and like the folks in the
okay.
village. If we're making a musical, we need a reason to have a chorus.
Yeah, this is true.
So I think we probably use the groundskeepers.
All right,
And
we're
maybe
already
the-
adding to the chart.
Yeah, yeah. Can we add a 30-piece orchestra as well?
Yes, okay. So that is going to go off to the side here. We have notes. 30-piece orchestra. Any other requests while we're on that here? Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. As it comes to us.
So yeah, who should write that then?
I mean, if we're going to go with opening numbers, like Stephen Sondheim wrote the opening number for Into the Woods with the rap and everything, like that's like one of the best opening numbers. So I feel like you have to go with Sondheim.
I agree. Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Let's put him in there.
Let's put him in there. I feel like I'm going to double highlight some of these names. We're going to run out of composers. I should have kept going. Oh no, I wasn't prepared. All right. What is next?
So I think we probably need a toe tapper.
Okay.
Next.
Everyone loves the toe tapper.
How about we put both Rosalinda and Julian Mallory in on this?
Ooh, they would make an exquisite toe tapper.
And you can imagine the letters, and they're both on stage, and Greg is in the middle, and they're all kind of chattering over each other.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a bit like they both reach for the gun from
Yeah.
Chicago,
Oh, I love this.
and
I
because they're all
love it.
manipulating each other, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Who's going to compose that one?
Sondheim would do that as well, because there's that one in Merrily We Roll Along.
Okay.
But if we've already used it somewhere else,
Well, but like, I didn't put enough composers now that we've added the groundskeepers. So we can double dip. One person gets double dipped.
it should match with the number of numbers that we've
Oh,
got.
I guess you're right. Yeah, we're using multiple characters now. You're right.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah.
So then we can't, like, Sondheim has to go to one or the other.
Ugh. How about we put Lloyd Webber on it if he has to go somewhere?
Sorry, who?
Lloyd Webber.
Oh, okay. You know, that is an interesting way. Do you just like offhanded, like, we have to put him somewhere? Let's just put Lloyd Webber there. Like, that is, wow, that was the most.
Lord
Often.
Lloyd Webber, the most successful, British musical theatre writer.
Yeah, I guess we'll put him there. Whatever. We need him somewhere. I
not,
wrote a musical in high school. Speaking of toe tappers, I'm just going to insert myself in here real quickly. And this was like, I was a fan of musicals, but I hadn't ever thought of the structure of a musical before. And so in my junior year of high school, I convinced the drama teacher to put my play on like a stage reading. And she read through the script. And then she had a meeting with me like several days later, and I was very nervous. And she's like, well, this is incomplete. And I was like, what do you mean? I already have 12 songs. Like, the whole play is there. What do you mean? And she's like, well, you need a toe tapper. And I had no idea what she meant. And so she just like gave me this list of toe tappers. She was like, study these and come back with a toe tapper. And that was, so I have a special place in my heart for toe tappers because I had to learn like 2 months before we put on this play in high school how to write a toe tapper. And everything else in the musical was very drab. I was a very angsty teen. So everything else was very like, Slow, very emotional. And then there was the toe tapper.
I think you'd get on with my partner David.
Yeah.
So we met on this MA, and he writes these like existential, angsty, beautiful, soaring melodies, and yeah, didn't have a taka taka ta. You need
Yeah.
a tune you can hum. Didn't have one of those. So I think you would have been the same person back then.
Probably, yeah. It got so bad because like at a certain point I decided I didn't even want a toe tapper in it because I was like, well, who's going to be tapping their toes in a story about death and destruction? And so I put like a drum machine in it because I was like, here's your toe tapper. We did use it though, and I regret putting in the drum machine years later, but whatever.
It's all about compromise, isn't it, when you're doing these big projects?
Yeah.
I've had a brainwave. Let's cut Lloyd Webber. He's a Tory, and
Oh, is he really?
oh yeah,
How did I not know this? Where?
He, like-
How? How?
he flew back from the States specifically to vote against like school dinners for kids. Do you know what I mean? Like he is, he's actively evil.
All right. Well, then we're gonna just take him off completely. Do you have a write-in composer?
Kander and Ebb. Kander and Ebb, who wrote Chicago and Cabaret.
Okay. You know, I thought about putting them on here because Chicago is my favorite musical, but I was like, that just really doesn't fit A Botanical Daughter. But you know what? Fate would have it that they stepped in anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to be light green. They got the toe tapper. And you know what? They deserve the toe tapper.
Yeah, they've got that kind of jazzy
Yeah,
thing
Chicago is
down,
full
haven't
of
they?
toe tappers.
Yeah.
What is next?
We've done I Want, Toe Tapper, Exposition, 11 o'clock number.
Ooh, the big one, the gusto.
So we've not put Schwartz in yet, have we?
We have not.
So let's use him there.
Okay.
And I think Gregor needs a number, really, doesn't he?
He does. He does. You
So-
know what? He would make a great I Want. How do
Oh,
you?
yeah, certainly.
All right, sorry, 11 o'clock, not an I Want. How do you envision him? Is he a tenor? Is he a baritone?
So, can of worms just opened up right there. It depends on how you see him. I personally would put Gregor as the tenor and Simon as the baritone bass.
Okay.
But in the audiobook, expertly narrated by Kevil Shah, he envisaged them the other way round, and that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And like the way he delivered it, he delivered this kind of Gregor, and then this kind of Simon, a bit more kind of chirpy,
Yeah.
which was interesting. But yeah, I think I'd probably do the other way around. I'd give Gregor the big notes.
Yeah, that's how I read him too.
Yeah.
You know, he's just too grumpy to be a high voice.
Yes.
Um,
And so Gregor's 11 o'clock number can be his turn. When he starts to realise that his creation might be more dangerous than he realised.
yeah, that would be an excellent 11 o'clock. I want it. I want it now. I want this whole thing. Once it's done, we need to contact all these people. Let them know that we've decided which numbers they're writing.
Including all the dead ones.
Yes, including all the dead ones. We are going to resurrect them specifically for this. And you know what? It's a book about resurrecting.
Well,
So, you know,
Just,
it
need,
can
just
be
need
done.
some mycelium.
Yes, exactly. I will not rest until it's done.
Villain number,
Villains.
Rodgers and Hammerstein. I don't know how well you know Oklahoma, but there's a song in Oklahoma called Lonely Room. That the bad guy in that sings. It's not in the film.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so it's not like known.
Yeah.
But it's a really good, like, rich baritone number, and it's like the antithesis of "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," where he's looking at the corn and thinking, "Oh, isn't life lovely because the corn is nice?" Whereas in Lonely Room, this character's looking round his shack and noticing how awful it is and realizing that his life is rubbish, and then he goes out and does all of his evil deeds. So the way that they constructed that song has been really like inspirational for my writing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think that's a really clever idea. I don't know who is the villain in Botanical Daughter. Come on then, Robbie. 15 points for a 1,000-word essay. Who is the villain in Botanical Daughter?
Yeah, there you go. I will be writing that after we're done here. I mean, I envisioned that when I was creating this, I thought it would be fun to have a villain number between both Julian and Finch somehow, even though I don't
Ooh.
think they ever actually interact in the book.
With the stage thing, you can have them
Yeah,
separate,
yeah.
can't you?
Yeah, but like now that I don't know, like the only villainous one, I guess you could have like it could be like Chloe, but a turn on the villain song idea where like she's not actually the villain, but people might see her as the villain. I don't know. Depends on what you want. This is your musical.
Yeah, my musical, yeah. Here's an interesting thing. Does Chloe sing?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Wow, you're right.
She does sing in the book,
Yeah,
but in her own idiosyncratic way, right?
yeah,
That's probably better represented by the orchestra.
yeah. Could be a wordless villain song.
Yeah. Yes, that's the one. That's
All
the
right.
one. And it's more about her physicality as she sings.
Yeah. Ooh,
Wow.
I like this. Ooh, ooh. We need to get this on stage, so this does need to happen.
I didn't expect it to actually be good when we planned this.
I like how you're like, I'm gonna do this live, and it's gonna be awful, but I guess we'll see how it turns out. Always glad to disappoint, or not disappoint,
Yeah.
to surprise in the opposite way. So now we are left with the reprise, which I did not mention a specific song to do the reprisal for, so you should choose one of them,
Yeah.
at least.
I specifically left Jonathan Larson to do the reprise. I did that intentionally because of I'll Cover You, which is a great song.
Yes.
And then I'll Cover You reprise is a mega song.
Yeah. Oh, tears every time.
Yeah, well, yeah, every time. I can't sing it. That's one that I can't sing because I choke.
Yeah.
But what is he reprising? No, there we go, done. Tick. It is Jennifer's Hopeful I Want song. And it's the equivalent of Somewhere That's Green, right?
Uh-huh.
Coming back at the end. Because she's got what she wanted.
Okay.
In death. Spoilers.
Ooh. Yeah, just casual spoilers for the book. Nobody listen if you haven't read it.
and for Little Shop of Horrors, I suppose.
Oh, I was not expecting that. We left out. I guess they can join the groundskeepers to sing John Finch and Simon.
Yeah.
And also, you know what? That my only thing with a lot of musicals is I feel like the second half is a lot less strong generally because there's so many reprises. So we can have more than one reprise, though.
Oh, yeah.
Spread some of them out in the second half.
And we can have more numbers as well.
Yeah, we can. This is not it. So we're gonna have to do a round 2, is what I'm hearing, where we complete this list, and then the third live that we do, we'll actually start composing. We're gonna write this musical live
From the piano.
Yeah. And we just happened to pick all of these things before writing it. So there you go. That was really fun. Thank you for participating in that. Gonna keep this for posterity.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. No, for just for now. But I'm glad we got to play that game. It makes me want to go back to my demented urge to write a full musical for it, even though I am not any of those people. There you go. Maybe by the time A Botanical Daughter 2 comes out.
The Return of Chloe.
The return.
Given that I'm writing this other one in the meantime, I do have plans to revisit Grimfern.
Ooh,
I don't know if you've heard this.
No, I have not.
It's not a secret. I don't tend to keep secrets unless they're absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
But yes, there are plans for a 10-year later.
Okay.
A new character comes to Grimfern.
Oh, I like this. I like this. I'm gonna have to. Hopefully, it doesn't actually happen 10 years from now. But
Ooh, ooh,
who knows?
I'm gonna Patrick Rothfuss this thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But I don't know. We'll see. Um, do you want to play? Do you have time for another game? Do you have time for one more game?
I'm easy. My partner is in Northern Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. What's he doing there, if you don't mind me asking?
It's his birthday today, so he's
Oh,
seeing
happy
family.
birthday.
He's from Belfast.
Okay. Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, David. Yes.
Yes. David, in the wherever you are.
He will not be on this. He is not a TikTok person, even slightly.
Oh, I'm just putting it out there.
Into the universe.
He's gonna feel it. Um, since you say that he is, a musical person, you should also give him this list, and he can enter the collaboration.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to. I'm sure this is top priority for him. But there you go. Oops, sorry. Oh, she's awake now. Sorry. The second game that I have is Kill Drill in the Will, which, if it's not obvious, is a version of Marry, Make It, and
Mate.
Off. I don't. Sometimes people don't cuss on this app, so I don't want to turn anyone off or the algorithm. So, round one, we have movie monsters.
Okay.
Kill Drill in the Will, Nosferatu, Black Phillip from The Witch, or Mother Marcos from Suspiria.
Ooh. Well, speaking of David,
Where is this going?
He doesn't actually look like Nosferatu, but
Well, I don't know how you can introduce someone in that way and not have that become their entire identity in my mind.
he does a staggeringly good impersonation
Okay.
of the kind of type.
This is all I'm picturing now. Your home life is just you turning around and Nosferatu. Yeah, just there.
But then, I think that makes it in the will.
Yes.
No, wait. Which one is the marry?
In the Will is the Mary.
Is the marry? Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't make. I was going for the rhyme, and maybe it's not as clear as it was in my head.
I second guessed it whether in with the will meant that they're dead, but no, that means I'm dead. So that's okay.
Yeah, like eventually they're in your will because you're married to them. I don't know.
Yes, no, it does make sense. It does make sense. So that is Nosferatu.
Okay.
In terms of drill, I think we'll go for Black Phillip.
Oh, okay. Kinky.
Oh yes. There's no doubt here. I feel like that would be like wouldst thou live deliciously? It's like
Absolutely.
sign me up.
He's into some freaky shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Mother Marcos is disgusting, if I remember rightly, from Suspiria.
Yeah.
So that's very easy. Let's get rid of her.
Which, like, now that I'm thinking about it, playing this with a bunch of horror icons, like, they're all dead. Like, you can't really kill them, but, we'll go with, get rid of them.
Yes.
Okay. So you are married to Nosferatu. That's
True. Facts.
Yeah, facts. And then the second one, since A Botanical Daughter is so inspired by Frankenstein, we're going to do versions of Frankenstein throughout the years. And this one was hard to pick three because there have been a lot of versions of Frankenstein throughout the years. But we are going to go with Boris Karloff from the 1931, the original Frankenstein movie. Bela Lugosi from Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, 1943, which I'd never seen before. So after I made this list, I was like, I absolutely need to watch that.
I'm going to call up a photo of that one. Lugosi Frankenstein. Okay.
And Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein from 1974.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So he's got the same, I don't know whether you can see, he's got the same kind of Frankenstein vibes.
Yeah.
That's Bela Lugosi. It's just a different person.
Yeah.
And then the other one, Peter Boyle,
Yes, Peter Boyle.
I love Young Frankenstein. Have you heard the musical?
I have not. Of Young Frankenstein? I didn't
Young
realize there was
Frankenstein.
one.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a Mel Brooks musical, a bit like Producers,
Okay.
and it's got that madcap score.
Adding it to the list.
Yes, yes, yes. So here is Peter Boyle.
Very strong brow there.
Kind of knowing eyes somehow, Peter
Yes.
Boyle. Putting on the Reds.
Excellent voice work.
Oh, thank you. It's my job. So I need to marry one,
Yes.
drill one, and will one.
Which, is also very fitting for Frankenstein because the drill the bolts.
It gives a new meaning to the word screw. Oh gosh. You know what? I'm going to get rid of Bela Lugosi.
Oh,
He can go in the will.
wow.
Yeah, he's not the
Wait,
one. He's not the OG Frankenstein.
Wait, he's killed though, right? You said in the
Yeah.
will. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not going in the will.
And then I think that means I'm going to drill the original
Ah, okay. Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff. I think that would feel like a life achievement. If this was The Sims, it's like, yes, tick, you've
Yes, there you go.
got off with the original Frankenstein.
Yeah, you're like, now I can die.
500 Sims points.
Yeah. There you go.
Because, yeah, I do. I mean, I love a man who can tap, right?
There you go.
And
Yeah.
so I think young Frankenstein version of Frankenstein. I will live with him and we'll do a duet.
There you go. I like it. We'll add it to the musical.
Yeah. There should be a tap number in Botanical Daughter.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Maybe, maybe Chloe's orchestral number also turns into a tap dance.
Because she plays with the bamboo, doesn't she? Maybe then that
yeah.
becomes a whole thing.
It's like you knew this was going to become a musical. You left all these little clues throughout. I feel at some point Simon is going to, do the transition from speaking into singing by sitting down at the piano and playing a chord. Yeah.
There comes a time in everybody's life. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can see it.
He's Simon. You know what? I am adding to that. Simon is going to get the dad song. I don't know what the actual name for that is, but the cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, like the song no one really likes, but it's there 2/3 of the way through the musical. Yeah, I'm giving that to Simon, and it will begin with him playing a chord on the piano. So, fan casting in my head now, play all these characters.
I'm intrigued by fan casts. I got sent a fan cast right on the app formerly known as Twitter, and I've forgotten the actor's name. He's one of the guys in the running for Bond, I think. Adam Taylor, something. Adam Taylor, something. Anyway, she cast this guy
Taylor
as
Johnson?
yes.
Okay. Oh, damn, they went for a beefy Simon.
Beefy Gregor.
Oh, Gregor.
Beefy Gregor, and me as Simon.
Oh, I think I do remember you
me
mentioning
myself.
that. I mean, if you want to play opposite of Aaron Taylor Johnson, like,
I wouldn't say no if
so
if you're twisting my arm.
make this happen.
There is that kind of shirtless in the rain scene halfway through
yeah.
the book. But yeah, I was surprised because I feel like I'm more of a Gregor in my mind. But yeah, no, maybe I can see Simon as well.
Maybe you can. Yeah. All right, we got to make that happen. Fulfill everyone's dreams, everyone's checklists. Oh, I am getting a warning from TikTok. So I'm almost up on time, which is perfect because we finished all the games that I had. But thank you so much for doing a live with me. This was fun.
Oh, no, thank you for inviting me. It's not something I would have thought of doing, but thank you for for organising it. And yeah, those games were really fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it again sometime. Maybe when the historical horror comes out and you can show us all the point that you've learned.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll pencil you in for 2028, I guess.
Oh no. Well, okay. I'll be there. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, and I guess have a good night. It is pretty late where you are, right? Or maybe
Coming
not.
up on 11 now, yeah.
Okay. Well then, rest well, my friend. And
And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
yeah, I'll see you around the interwebs.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.